Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Banter.
Woo! One touch is all it takes.
I haven't been on the Banter in a while.
Has it been
I was the new Trevor. It's got to be close to a month.
Then I'm the new Trevor.
Maybe
Trevor.
more.
We definitely haven't had this configuration in a while.
Well, because Trevor was on for like 3 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah,
and I was never on with
a
Trevor.
streak going.
Dang. I was never on with Trevor.
Yeah, if you guys only knew, Brad just picked up something off the floor. If you guys only knew what this office looked like beyond, or that set looked like beyond what you can see.
Don't break it. Don't break the fourth wall.
I will say it's better than it's been. It's been worse.
It has definitely been worse at times.
It has been.
Also been better at times.
Well, before we get into this episode, I would love to talk about the sponsor of this episode, and that is Mudwater, a product that I love. Mudwater is a beverage that is meant to replace coffee or energy drinks in your life because, I mean, yeah, coffee's a great time and everything, but you know what sucks is whenever it gives you that little boost of energy and then later in the day you get those jitters and you get that bad crash, especially for me. If I haven't eaten anything and I drink a cup of coffee, I get super jittery and anxious. But with Mudwater, that's not a problem because Mudwater isn't packed with caffeine. It actually gives you longer lasting, more sustainable energy with just the fraction of the caffeine as coffee. And it's made with 4 different mushrooms in it. It's got all these crazy ingredients inside, and I don't understand how they make a product that has all these awesome healthy ingredients in it but doesn't taste like some kind of weird healthy guy food. It actually tastes like a chai tea latte is the best way I can describe it. And I even make it the same way that I would make coffee, where you just put the powder inside of a cup of hot water and you stir it up, and then I would just put like creamer, like the vanilla creamer that I use for my coffee, I put in Mudwater, and it makes it taste delicious. I mean, it's a really, really healthy beverage that tastes like something that you would get from a barista, and it's really awesome. So it's some of the other things about it is organic, gluten-free, vegan, non-GMO, Whole30 approved, and kosher. This is a great time if you do want to try it. If you don't believe me that's delicious and good for you, go try it for yourself. You can go to mudwater.com. That's mudwtr.com/foundation. You'll get $20 off your subscription. You'll get a free frother, and you'll get a free sample of their coconut creamer and sweetener. And I also got to say, their frother, for some reason, I have a lot of frothers at my house. Their frother is so cool, and it works. It's like my favorite frother I've ever seen. So, again, that is mudwater.com, mudwtr.com/foundation. Thanks, Mudwater.
Konner, a lot of people in the comments have been doubting your ad read. Did you actually use it? Can you just like silence the haters?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh no, you know how to dry scoop it.
Oh, just hammer it right now.
I was more just saying, like, tell them like you genuinely.
No, I seriously drink Mudwater.
Yeah.
I actually, whenever I said that I put creamer in it, like I put the vanilla creamer that I use in my coffee in the Mudwater, and
Well, that's
it's
why
really
you've been
good.
doing the ad reads. I mean, you're the one that likes it. You know, you use it, so we want people to have a genuine like ad reads. That's why you're doing the ad reads.
Oh yeah, that's just what I just said was like a normal conversation for me.
Yeah. I just saw several comments of like people saying we didn't actually use that product. I was like,
Oh no,
like, we legitimately.
And it legitimately doesn't like it tastes good. I think it tastes yummy.
For me, like I'm a big coffee guy. I drink coffee all day, every day. Love coffee. It doesn't replace coffee for me, but, you know, at times there is, like, you might not want to drink a cup of coffee in the morning to get your energy, or you might, like, my heart, if I have too much caffeine, it does weird stuff to me. So there's some days where I'm just like, you know, I'm not feeling it. And that's a good solution. Yeah. I've tried it. It genuinely tastes good. So I think, you know, the marketing of it replaces coffee, it doesn't have to replace your coffee. Mm-hmm. You know, it can kind of come alongside your coffee, provide a little 1-2 punch. So I'm thinking about.
And I mean, we pick the brands we work with. I mean, we have offers that we turn down, but I mean, Mudwater was one that they sent us all the stuff first, and we're like, hey, we want to make sure you guys like this before we even agree to do anything.
Yeah. Well, there's another one. I'm not gonna, because they're kind of in the same industry, so I don't want to like go 1-2 and hit them. But there's another company that I don't know if we've launched what we worked with them yet.
We have,
but they sent it like 30 days in advance. And my wife and I like regularly use it. It's more to help you sleep, so it's kind of the anti-Mudwater, I guess, in a way, because you drink it at night to go to sleep. But it's a similar thing where like Mudwater is very similar. I love when brands do that, where they're like, hey, to make sure we actually are going to work well together, here's just a sample. Use it. Talk to us in 30 days. And then we like genuinely fall in love with it to the point like Another drink product we've worked with before, Konner just buys, I think, now to keep using it.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's how they get us.
That is how they get us.
I'm subscribed to Manscaped.
Yeah, Manscaped gets me good.
I'm like on their monthly subscription thing where stuff just shows up at my door because I just like, I like all my stuff being Manscaped.
You know how Brad has his the store in his house?
Yeah.
Which is just like the rooms that is overstocked with everything. I basically have that in my drawer with Manscaped stuff.
It's very fair. What was nice was they went through a period where we got a lot of, not just do full Manscaped free ad read, but use code Banter20. They sent us a bunch of like their body wash and shampoo for a while. Like that was just kind of like what they were trying to push. So we got a bunch in, and it was nice because I ran out of body wash and I was like, I know I have more of this somewhere. And I opened up my cabinet underneath my sink and there's like 3 body wash bottles. It's like, oh, great news.
That's awesome. Mine is stocked up because I buy it. Yeah. Or my wife buys it for me. She says, what do you need more of? And then I tell her. And then she says, what code is live this month?
Yeah. Moral of the story is we use what we promote and we like it and they all take care of us and we appreciate it.
Yeah, except for that one dirty... I'm just kidding. Oh, man, what's new? The banter. It's fun. We never have plans,
I've had a lot of, like... I was going to say, like, hey, we'll talk about this, but... I feel like I'm reaching a weird point in my life where I'm like kind of becoming my dad.
Okay.
Which is fine. I love my dad, but like probably that time, I'm sure you all felt this, but like kind of that time when you're like in middle school and you start to like be like good at technology and like your parents kind of get a little behind in technology. Like I felt that the other day and it scared me. So I went like down a technology deep dive and made sure I knew what the crap was going on. But I kind of felt that at the Verizon store. And then my son told me something on my phone that I didn't know.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm just like, no.
It started to happen with me, not with my son, but someone texted me from one of the shows under our podcast network and they used the word John, Jawn.
Yeah.
In context, and I had no idea what they meant.
Hold on, let me guess. Use it. I don't know what it means. Use it in context.
I would have to. Let me see if I can find.
Here you go.
Well, let me see if I can find the text he sent me.
That John just slid right out of my hand.
Yeah, I guess that worked.
Oh, it's just like that thing, like that weird.
Let me see if I can find how he texted it.
It's
in
like
context.
it fell out of my hand. That random thing.
He must not have texted it. It must have been in the. It's been in their group chat.
You can just replace it for any inanimate object.
Because the way they said it made me genuinely have no idea what he meant. And I just responded, I was like, I'm be straight with you. I don't know what you just said.
And my oldest son... Again,
here we go. He said... they was asking about the new Atlas bags that are coming because they really want some. And...
When those Johns coming in,
he said,
right?
He said,
heck yeah.
Basically.
Asked me, he said it's December 4th when they come in. I said, no bags yet. I know they've officially shipped, so hopefully we'll have them soon. And then he responded and said, did we see a red and black John over on a friendly channel? And I just responded and I said, no idea what John means. Because in that context, I was like, what the crap is he talking? Like, surely he's talking about Robbie's bag he's carrying.
Right.
But like, so I said, no idea what John means. And he said, sorry, I thought that's what the kids say. And then someone else responded and said, John, noun, used by young people to describe pretty much anything. That's a cool John, quote unquote, shirt. Hop in my John, quote unquote, car. And I was like, I'm old.
Yeah.
There's now a new word that I don't know.
Cohen, which is my oldest son, is in middle school, and I forget something. Kimberly used sus, which I thought was funny because she usually like is very anti. I'm not going to say anything like that. And I made some reference to like we're getting old and we're trying to be cool and use like young kid language. And I said, Cohen, what's a word that like, you guys use that you would never hear me and mom use? And he goes, I don't know. Like if someone does something cool, you just say like, yeah, he's him.
Yeah, that's a big one right now. He's him. It's infiltrated the NFL a lot, where like someone will like score a touchdown, they'll just start yelling, "I'm him."
And
like, it's kind of like in our day it would have been like, "I'm the guy,"
like I'm the man.
You're the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's just he's him.
But
like he's the dude. He's the man.
And he was like,
sounds like you're just like announcing their pronouns.
Yeah. Well, and I was,
he him.
But I asked him, I was like, so what if a girl does something cool? They're like, you say that she's him also, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, stick it to the man.
Yeah, I'm like she's shim.
Shim.
She's Shim.
Yeah. Yeah, that one at least, like, because that's...
At least there's, like, it's like, that's
John
like,
doesn't make sense. John comes from nowhere.
you have to literally just replace the word thing. Because I don't
Yeah,
even
but
think,
I'm saying, like-
I don't even think they used it correctly whenever they said, get in my John, as in my car, or that's a nice John, as in your shirt. No. Like, in a sentence, if you were to say thing, like, oh, that thing is sick, that John is sick. Like, you can
But
only
like
replace
John, where does
like,
John come from?
Don't know.
Like Riz, we found comes from charisma.
Still a stupid
makes
word.
sense.
Oh,
That makes
kinda,
perfect
yeah.
sense.
It's not very used in the right context, but it makes
yeah,
makes
no,
sense
like
where
he's
the word.
he
came
like
from.
yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Is Riz and Drip
I'm
the same
rizzing
thing?
you up. I'm charisma-ing you up.
Yeah, but like you're rizzing him up because you have such good charisma.
That's still nope.
Yeah, yeah.
You had to change the sentence.
No, but like it's a way to shorten it. I'm all for efficiency. Rizzing you up is like, instead of me being like, my charisma is really making you drawn to me, I just rizzed you up. It's way faster.
But it's unnecessary.
But where does John come from is the
I don't
problem.
know.
You
All right,
see what
I
I'm
wanna-
saying? Like
I'll
Riz
Google
comes
it.
from charisma.
I'll Google
Yeah.
it.
I'm gonna say that I've yet to find like a word in this new vernacular that I like feel comfortable using.
I wouldn't use Riz. I wouldn't
No.
use it, but I
could
understand
use-
it now.
I could use John. I kind of like it.
I kind of
I'll
like
be
John
honest.
too.
I just want to know, like, it doesn't make sense.
I'm Googling it.
I feel
Like bet makes sense. If you're like, I bet. Because, like, you want to bet about that?
I know. I don't. There's something about that one I just don't like.
Yeah. But, like, that, at least it makes sense. Like, at least I
Yeah,
know the
no, I
context.
get
like,
it.
once I understand the history of why a word, then I can understand when someone uses it. But John, like, it's a whole new word. Jawn.
Well, I hope it's like has some like.
It was apparently a
old school
Pennsylvanian thing, Trevor was saying.
No, apparently a lot of people think it's from Philly, but it's not from Philly. It's from
Ah.
New York.
Well, this guy who used it's from Philly.
Um,
Dude that used it on me. I think. Pretty sure I think he's a Eagles fan.
Oh, I know. What's it?
okay, I'm gonna. Just to be clear, I'm reading this directly from
Okay.
the website.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Is it from John.com?
There's some racial stuff involved. Nothing offensive, but I'm just warning you that
Let's hear it.
this is what I'm reading
Hold
from
on.
the website.
This website will be included in the bibliography in the description.
Cite your sources.
So a brief history of John. So I hate to break it to you, Philly, but linguists agree that John actually comes from New York City and
Suck it, Philly.
and is derived from the word joint, which is deeply rooted.
That's a stretch.
Well, so it's like
Joint to John?
Like we'll meet up at that joint or whatever. But okay, so it's derived from joint, which is deeply rooted in African American vernacular English, but its history goes back to around the time of the Emancipation. Black Southerners used the term juke joint to refer to clubs and bars that were safe spaces for black people to gather.
Okay. How do we get from joint to John?
Yeah, let me see if it gets to that part.
Because like joint, that makes sense. John, that's a new
No,
word.
now it's just giving me the history of the word joint.
So where does joint become John? That's what I want to know. Because like charisma becoming Riz. Okay, we just shortened charisma.
I mean, this article, the only purpose of this article had to get me in this history lesson because we're not talking about that stuff at all anymore. Now we're just talking about all these crazy words that I've never heard. Okay. Here we go.
Well, it's just like when you say joint with a
Hip-hop
northern
culture-
accent.
We're just gonna see because this one seems like it's about it, so I'm just gonna read
Okay.
it with this.
right.
I'm not proofread this.
Source 2.
Hip hop.
Bibliography.
No, this is the same article.
Oh, okay.
Hip hop culture and rap popularized the term joint, which spread beyond New York City's borders, all along the East Coast. This included Philadelphia, where, according to Sandy Kingston's of Philadelphia magazine, joint evolved to John.
So it
because
is
of
from Philly.
because of the Southern drawl's influence on Philly tongue.
Suck it,
not to
redacted
mention that of African vernacular English.
Yeah, suck it
We
redacted
tend
Philly.
to draw
Suck
out
it New York.
We tend to draw out our vowels and swallow our final consonants. So no T.
Join.
Yeah, so
it's from
basically
join.
it's the mixture. It was the mixture of African American Southern with Philly and New York Northern.
So it's what
became-
joint sounded like, and that turned it into John.
Yes.
So it is
Yeah.
from Philly. People saying it's from New York are just liars.
No, it was
Joint started in New York. John started in Philly.
It reached its final form in Philly, it sounds like. I don't know.
No, it says no. Philadelphia is included in one of the states that it spread to.
Maybe suck it, Philly.
That's the whole point. Is
Partial.
let's find things to say
Okay,
bad
but
about
like joint.
Philadelphia.
Okay, I can see it though. Like
Yeah.
that joint's sick.
That joint.
But yeah,
Joint.
it's
Joint.
gotten spread. It's not the same.
Well,
like Riz, at least
we don't
like,
have
most
we don't
of the
have
time,
super southern
Okay.
drawl accents.
know what I'm
Think
saying?
about
At least,
somebody
at least,
from.
No,
I
I'm saying
figured
in
it
the
out.
way it's used. At least most of the time, Riz,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can like understand how you're saying charisma in the sentence. Joint was more typically referred to like a place.
Yeah.
So like, it's a stretch to call like a backpack a joint.
I know, but here I
But
think
John, that's how it's
figured it
being
out.
used. So it's not. It's I don't like that.
Here's where the
he doesn't like it.
Here's the deviation, right? Because I could say like, hey Connor, hand me that John on your desk over there. And
Okay.
Or if I say, hey Connor, hand me that joint on your desk. What if he has an actual joint on his desk?
That would be interesting.
And I'm
I
like,
would
no, the
probably
other
get
joint.
fired.
And I'm like, no, the other joint.
And then he's like, I've got multiple. And he opens his jacket up, and turns out he's been dealing the whole time.
And he's got a bomb on him. And
ah!
do you cut the red wire or the blue wire? That escalated quickly.
Yeah, that went a whole different route.
But
Okay.
yeah, I guess to sum it up, I felt that the other day and it scared me because I don't feel old, but that made me.
You have to
feel
embrace it as wisdom, you know?
old. Yeah,
Because like,
by not knowing stuff.
well, because by you not knowing, that means you have enough life experience that you can't fit pointless information of how to use tech into your head.
I have
because you have
so-
too much other stuff.
I have so much wisdom that I refuse to get any more information.
Exactly. Yep. That is wisdom.
I
Wisdom
believe-
is stopping learning.
That's
The
what
way
I
they-
thought. That's what Confucius.
That's what that John said.
The way that it happens from generation
No more
to
John in this
generation is because as technology gets better, there are more and more efficient ways of gathering information. So that's why, like, the reason why I've just recently started to say things about like cars. I think about me and my dad worked on cars a lot growing up, and I never knew how to do anything, and I always had to ask him, and he would tell me. But now I will say things about cars that my dad's like, oh, I didn't know that, but it's because I am very efficient at using technology such as YouTube, where they pump as much information about cars into me as possible, and my dad isn't as efficient as using that form of technology. So that it's just because, like, I don't. What do your kids do?
Yeah, my kids do.
Yeah, like what do they do to get information? Like, what is their
TikTok, baby.
Yeah, no, my
big on the talk?
My kids are not allowed to use social media.
Dang.
At
yeah,
their
that's a
current
good
age.
idea.
I guess they're allowed to use YouTube and YouTube
Yeah.
shorts.
Yeah,
So like that's their spans of social media. So they do that. And I mean they really do read a lot.
dude, if you watch shorts on YouTube, you can get a lot of information very quickly.
Yeah, I mean they both have just said stuff randomly. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, oh, I saw it on YouTube Shorts. And I encourage them, like, obviously they're gonna watch like stuff on like Minecraft and Fortnite and whatever. But I also like we kind of like ration them off like, okay, if you spend like an hour watching that, you need to watch an hour of something educational and learn something. So we try to like meet in the middle a little bit. And I will say they're very good about watching that. And you know, Eli the other day came up, which is I guess I can say like he's my youngest son currently at the moment. And he came in and was like, hey dad, did you know like this fish was native to this South American river and all this? And he's like, I like watching fishing videos, but this one talked about all the river and all like the ecosystem and the river. I was watching a fishing video and I'm like, okay,
That's cool.
that's good. So they do that. I mean, and then I mean they learn a lot from like the kids that they're friends and like they're at school obviously. So I think they like absorb a lot of that naturally, unfortunately.
Kids are like sponges, man. I've watched Luca, like he's a year and a half now. He will be like next month. So basically a year and a half. I'm not into the whole month thing.
No.
Liz and I neither, because
Like
I always
18
thought it was
month.
crazy. Like 18 month, I think is an okay, like up to that point, which Luca's 17 months now, I guess technically would be the way to say it.
Yuck.
But like when you get to like 28 months, it's like, bro, your kid's 2 years old.
Yeah, 36
She's 2.
months old.
Yeah.
My
Like-
kid's 36 months old. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
like-
a toddler.
Like, 'cause it's weird because there has to be a point. Like for me, it was once he hit a year old, then I have a year. He's pretty close to a year and a half. He's
Yeah.
getting close to 2. Like that's kind of because you just start doing math in your head backwards.
Well,
because he was 16 months old technically, I think last month. But when people would ask me how old he is, I'd just be like, yeah, he's about a year and a half. Because
Yeah.
like I mean, I know it's because like there's so many milestones in those first months that like as parents you just kind of get into that rhythm of like
Yeah.
because it's a big deal. Oh, your 6-month-old's starting to crawl. Like one of Lizzie's friends, 8-month-old, was freaking walking,
Yeah.
and Luca at the time was almost 13 months old, and he wasn't walking. So like that's a big gap that only 5 months covers. So that's why it's like semi important to have like month milestones.
But also there's not another unit of measure.
No, but like if I walk up to Silas and he asks me how old my son is, and I tell him, oh, he's 19 months.
Means nothing.
That means nothing.
No.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
Anyways, Luke is about a year and a half, and all that to say, and he is like a sponge. Like he watches everything you do, and you don't realize how quickly they adapt and pick stuff up. Because we got him, my parents for Christmas got him this box called Tony's. And it's basically this like little music box, more or less. And you put a character on top, and based on what character goes on top, it'll like sing songs and read you a 30-minute story, basically. Cool. We thought he wouldn't care, because why would a little over 1-year-old care about a box telling him things? Because like it's not a screen, it doesn't do anything, it just talks. So I was like, hey, but my parents wanted to get to him before Christmas because one of the characters they got him is the Grinch. And they wanted him to be able to use the Grinch this year, because if it gave him to him on Christmas, he wouldn't really use it. So he, when it first came in, he like thought it was cool because he could like take the characters off and then like it would make it say a different thing. Well, but now he's like, he loves one of the two he has is Woody from Toy Story, and then he has the Grinch. And the Grinch just basically tells you the story of the Grinch, and it sings the like Yahoo Tourist song and like some songs like that. Whereas the Woody one starts off with You Got a Friend in Me.
Of course, classic.
And so as soon as you put it on, it goes straight into the You Got a Friend with Me. But if you take Woody off and you put Woody back on, it picks up where it left off. So if you're 20 minutes into the story, you pull it off and you put it back on, you'll still be at Sid's house trying to rescue Buzz. So it doesn't start over. But Luca wants to listen to You Got a Friend in Me. So in order to do that, you'd have to take Woody off, put the Grinch on, let the Grinch play for a few seconds, take Grinch off, put Woody back on, and then it'll play You Got a Friend in Me. That was the first thing he learned, is he would put You Got a Friend in Me, and he'd start like dancing and bobbing, and he loves it. And then it would end, and it'd go straight into like the Toy Soldier song, where they're like yelling back and forth. And he likes that, but it's not his favorite. So first thing he learned was, if I take this off and put the Grinch on, then take the Grinch off and put it back on, it plays my song again. So that's what he first learned to do. Well, but then it goes to sleep after you don't use it for long enough, it'll go to sleep. So every morning he would wake up and he wants to play with it and he'd point at it. But if you just put like Woody on there, it doesn't work. You have to like touch it to turn the volume up first. And to turn the volume up, it has two little ears, and you pinch one of the ears and it turns the volume up or down. So you have to turn the volume up first and then put the character on. So every morning he would get up, put Woody on, it wouldn't work. I would take Woody off, pinch the ear to turn the volume up, then put Woody back on, and it would work. And he watched me do that for like 2 mornings. And then the third morning, he gets up, and as soon as he gets up, he starts pointing at whatever toy he wants to play with. That's the first thing he does. And so he's pointing at the box. And so I put him down. He walks over to the box, and I'm expecting him to put Woody on. I have to turn it up. And he walks over there. He grabs Woody with his left hand. He starts pinching the ear with his right hand, and the volume goes up. And then he stood there until the green light came on. And then the green light came on, and then he put Woody on, and then he started dancing. And I was like, who taught you that? Like, what? And then, sure enough, the song ends. He takes Woody off, puts the Grinch on, takes Grinch off, put Woody back on, and starts dancing again. And I'm like, I didn't teach him any of that. He just watched me do it and just figured out how to use this thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
And I mean, there's been several other things like that where he just like, he watches you do something and then he knows, like he now knows how to feed our dogs. He can't do it himself because all of it's too heavy. But I'm like, all right, bud, we got to feed our dogs. And he'll walk over to the pantry and like start hitting the pantry because that's where the dog food is. And I'll open it and he'll like drag out the dog food for me. And then he tries to unscrew the top. He can't. So I unscrew the top. And then he'll like help me hold the bowls. And then as soon as I screw the top, I'm like, push it back in. He'll push it in and shut the pantry door. And like, I didn't teach him any of that. He just watched me feed the dogs every day. And so now he knows, oh, feed the dogs is what we got to do.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
That
Kids
is
are
crazy.
smart, man.
Well, I think, as a dad, also, it's like a lot of responsibility.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Because you're like,
It's terrifying. Everything I do, he's watching.
yeah, or say there.
Yeah.
Because it really occurred to me because we, when we first got our boys, and I started hearing them say like phrases that I would say, or like kind of have like the same humor. I'm like, they're learning literally everything from me.
Yeah.
And I need to be like a better human being because that's a lot of responsibility. I'm multiplying that. So we have
Well,
to
that's
be
what,
careful.
Obviously, if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know we don't swear, but I do say frick a lot.
Yep.
That's just like that's always from high school on. That's always been like my go-to. Something have frick instantly. And so Liz is like, ever since we had Luca, she's like been telling me like, you got to stop saying frick. She's like, because I don't want a little 3-year-old running around saying frick at everything. I'm like, he's not going to copy me yet. Like, it's fine. He's only 3 months old. He's only 6 months old. Well, now he's getting to where like he's starting to
17-month-old.
Yeah, now he's 17 months old, and so he's getting to where he's like starting to like he obviously says mama, dad, more. Like he has like words that you know exactly what he's saying, but he's like starting to try to say more words. And so like when I let the dogs outside and they come back in, I bring them in, I put them in their room, he'll be like, good girl. And like he just learned that because that's what I say to him every time. Like, go to your room, and they go to your room, like, good girl, and shut the door. So every time I shut the door, he goes, good girl. And he like learns that stuff. And then if they are barking, he immediately is like, no. And so like I'm like, any day now he's just gonna start trying to say frick. And so I've been trying at home not to say it, but it's very hard. Like I can't imagine if I cursed how I would keep my kid from cursing.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I guess that's why you have so many 5-year-olds running around cursing. But like I don't know how you would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to really be careful what you say. And even if you're like joking about something.
Yeah. Because they aren't going to pick up like sarcasm yet.
Well, this even happened with Cohen recently. Our family is a like Mac family. We have nothing other than Mac devices and Mac friendly devices in our house. It's always been that way. And I'll just give people a hard time about having Android or Windows phone just because it's what you do.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretentious and that's what I do. But Cohen didn't pick up that. Like I'm just being funny. There's nothing actually wrong with that. And they have like a jiu-jitsu group of friends that they hang out with, and a new girl had started coming.
Oh no, he choked her out.
Well, but
he's like, you have an Android armbar.
Yeah, like I got a phone call, her arm's broken. No, but they invited her into the group, and they all have iPhones, and she has an Android phone.
So they had a green chat.
I know. They had to start a new chat because of it. And then Eli, we don't allow him to have a phone yet because he's not old enough. But he has an iPad that he uses iMessage.
Yeah.
And like they have to have 2 chats, one with her and one without her because of that. And Cohen started like giving her a hard time about you got to be your Android's message, because he heard me do it.
Yeah.
And like I got upset with him at first because he actually hurt the girl's feelings, and good on him. He came to me, he's like, hey, I think I hurt her feelings. What do I do? I said, well, this is not going to be the first time or the last time you hurt a girl's feelings, so just get used to that. But we talked through it.
At least this time you know why.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this time she's communicating with you.
Most time you're going to have to like break out a whiteboard and be like doing a calculus problem, solving for X.
Yeah, but like, all right, where did this happen?
That's where I messed up. Gosh.
Yeah. So we walked through it, and then I was like kind of disappointed. I'm like, bud, why did you do that? And he's like, I wasn't trying to. And I'm like, well, I guess that's fair, but you got to be sensitive to stuff like that. She's new, and she already feels new to something. You just made her feel like really like exposed or like out of like the circle. And then after talking to him and like we got it resolved, and he sent a nice like apology text and everything. And I walked down the kitchen to Kimberly, and I was like, he learned that from me. Like that's my fault that he did that, because he didn't understand that like there's many other things that could come into that equation, and he was just repeating like he's a Mac person because I am, and he's heard me make fun of Android phones every day for his whole life probably. And I'm like, well, yep. It just reminded me I got to be careful, even like
that makes
joking
sense.
now. Because now Cohen's becoming like a teen and young adult, so he's going to start like trying to like have sarcasm and humor and all this stuff, and I've got to be very careful.
That's what the pastor of the church we went to growing up, it's one of my mom's favorite quotes. She always still says it. But basically what the quote was whatever the parents do in moderation, the kids will do in excess.
Yeah.
Yep,
And so like that can be either a great thing or an awful thing. And most of the time it was used in like, if you, I only curse a little bit. It's like, okay, well your kids will hear that. That'll be a pass, and then so on and so forth. Or like, you can use it for drinking, for cursing, for road rage, for whatever. And it's not a golden rule like every time you could, but I've seen in my life where like the whole reason I love basketball as much as I do is because my dad loved basketball. And so like I am a bigger college sports fan than my dad is.
Yep.
My dad's not even really a Duke basketball fan, but he just wanted to watch a Duke basketball game when I was 4 because a local high school guy, JJ Redick, went to Duke. And so my dad wanted to watch his freshman season, and that is the whole reason that I'm a Duke fan. And like that's it. It's because of that one season. And so like stuff like that where it's hilarious because people just assume it's a lifelong, like, because I've been a Duke fan since I was 4, so I've been a Duke fan for 20 some years now. We suck this year. Go ahead, sound off in the comments. But everyone assumes that it's from my dad. When I'm like, no, my dad, realistically, ACC wise, he's probably a bigger UVA fan than he is a Duke fan. And so we'll go to like Duke versus UVA games, and like he'll wear Duke stuff, and like because he doesn't care about the game, he cares about me. But like especially one of his best friends is the Liberty head coach, who was the UVA assistant coach. So like when we would go to games, my dad wanted UVA to win, and like we would go and like go to overtime. And I'm like, Dad, you cannot cheer for UVA right now. Like, you can't do it. We got all focus has to be on Duke. But like it's always a funny thing to me of like that. The whole reason that my identity in high school was a Duke fan was because my dad wanted to watch one season of Duke basketball when I was 4, and I saw my dad was rooting for this team and for this player who became an all-time great in JJ Redick. And so then that became my entire identity to the point that like when I was 8, I think 7 or 8, when JJ Redick played his last college basketball game and lost to Big Daddy Davis, I think was his name, LSU, if I'm not mistaken, knocked him out of the NCAA tournament. I went to my room and cried because it was JJ Redick's last time I was going to see JJ Redick play for Duke. And like it meant everything to me. And my dad just like, he didn't even really care. He was just like, son, it's okay. Like, hey, he's going to go to the NBA. You'll still be able to watch him. And I was like, it's not the same. Like, he's not be for Duke. He didn't win a national title.
For those of you,
one season.
For those of you counting at home, Hunter's been a Duke fan for 264 months.
That's good math. That's good math.
So, but no, it's funny that you say that because I didn't think about this till you said that about like sports. Because I mean, my family's not like a huge sports family. Like I like hockey. I like obviously fighting, like combat sports, and we do jujitsu. They do a lot of jujitsu. I like hockey. We went to hockey games, and now they're both like obsessed with hockey. So I guess that makes, because I'm always like, where did you guys become such like sports guys? Because I'm not a sports guy, but. They just like watch it all the time, and I'm like, oh, that's why. So good point, Hunter. Good point.
1 point for Hunter.
1 point for Hunter.
We should start keeping a score on this podcast.
Oh, that'd be great.
Let's make it a competition.
I have a really important question. I feel like I found this divide like several years ago of like two groups of people, and I didn't realize it existed until like people have really strong opinions on this. Are you more of like a Bug's Life person or ants?
I've never seen Ants. I'm not really a strong opinionated either way, but I've only ever seen Bug's Life. So
there's some diehards out there. I'm a Bug's Life person.
I'm not a big movie guy in general, so you're lucky I've even seen one of the two.
1 point from me.
I'm a B movie kind of guy.
Ooh.
Oh, B movie's great.
B movie's great. I have seen that too.
I have fond memories of
I'm more
B-movie.
tied to the B movie than Bug's Life or Ants.
I would say Bug's Life.
Okay, yeah, because Ants is dumb. It's creepy. It's scary. It's like really scary.
I don't even know what Ants is.
It's a movie.
Well, clearly. Yeah.
It's Pixar. Involved. They came out at the same time. Well, roughly the same time. Bug's Life and the Ants. They're both about like they're about their little communities.
I wonder. Maybe I have seen Ants.
You probably have at some point. It was a pretty big movie.
What if I just thought Bug's Life was Ants the whole time?
You might. I mean, you could.
A lot of people think that. That's the thing. It might.
No, I've never seen. At least the.
Oh, it's terrifying. Like that's a kids movie. And
it's from DreamWorks. Is that right? Is that the right one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna just watch this part of this trailer just so I can know.
Also, one of my favorite things that YouTube has ever, or like social media, the internet has put out are like videos of, and the first time I saw it was the Bee Movie. Like every time they said the word bees, it sped up twice the speed.
Yeah.
I love that. It's just the best.
That
I don't know
fun.
why.
Okay, I saw this when I was a kid. I don't really remember it. No, Ants. I definitely saw it when I was a kid. It came out when I was 1 year old. 1 year old.
Oh, that's true.
So.
Oh my gosh, that came out that long ago.
1998.
That's crazy.
That dated me a little bit.
Yeah, Bug's Life's definitely. I've seen Bug's Life multiple times.
Bug's Life's superior.
I've seen Bug's Life multiple. Well, the ants look way less scary. They're purple.
Well, yeah,
They're
and
more
there's
fun.
more. There's a Hercules beetle, and they like
Hercules.
It's so creative.
Right?
Like
Yep, you're right.
The way they like made a Bug's Life like human and like a community and like a world is like, and like their fireworks, they would like shoot up like little things of barley and different seeds and explode. Like just everything they did was very creative. And Ants is just like depressing. It's like the underworld, like that. It's disgusting.
Makes sense.
But I just wanted to know what.
Yeah, put me in Bug's Life.
Bug's Life category.
I'll be
Hunter's in Bug's Life.
Trevor, you Bug's Life?
Trevor's not in here, I don't think.
Silas, you Bug's Life or Ants?
Silas hasn't seen either of those movies, man.
No. Silas was born in what, 2001?
Yikes.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I think even. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Do you guys share a birthday with a celebrity or no?
I do, Mr. Beast.
I share one with The Rock.
I don't know. I think like Sheryl Crow or something for mine.
Yeah, we did that on the Banter.
I would definitely
once.
trade you.
We looked up our celebrity birthdays.
I would trade The Rock for Sheryl Crow.
I gotta look. I don't know.
I don't really like The Rock.
Did you see The Rock's?
I think he's kind of a baby.
Did you see he just released a new shoe, and for like Christmassy, And it's like red. And so he had the commercial they did was he had Dwanta. He was Dwanta. But then they had the jacked Santa come work out with him. And it's basically just this like older fit man come to like The Rock's gym. And he told this whole story of like the night before Christmas, and like Santa has to get his lift in before he goes and delivers, and then he like traded his old boots in for these new pair of like Rock sneakers, but it's like narrated by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, funny. And it was very funny. They just have Santa, like this shirtless Santa, just jacked and just it's fun.
That's fun.
Okay. He put it on his social media.
It was Winona Judd, not Sheryl Crow.
That's a little different.
CeeLo Green.
That's good.
Oh, that is a good one.
Tom Morello.
Don't know who that is.
Like the guitar player Tom Morello.
Oh, yeah,
Rage
yeah,
Against the
yeah,
Machine.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was one more that was interesting. Lindsay Lohan.
There you go.
That's a great one.
Freaky Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Freaky Friday. Celebrities who died in 2021. Why is that a category?
Freaky Friday. I started listening to audiobooks recently on my runs.
I love audio.
It's been great. So I've listened to YouTube Secrets by Sean Cannell.
Mm-hmm.
Great book. And then I just started, I'm like almost done now, but I just started. That's what's so great. My runs are long enough now that like a 5-hour book is like 2 to 3 runs, which ends up being great because I can just like churn through books. But I started last week and I'll finish probably today or tomorrow, Atomic Habits. I'm assuming you've read that book.
Mm-hmm. Gabby really likes
I've
that
not
book.
read that, but I've been taught a ton of things off of Atomic Habits.
It's by
James Clear.
Yeah.
I followed him on Instagram. Great follow.
I feel like I've read it because all the leadership things I've done have.
Well, it's like one of the greatest selling books on Amazon in the Amazon era, apparently.
Yeah.
Gabby likes that book.
Very good book.
I've got a book I ordered for you for Christmas. I'm excited for you.
For me?
It's physical, but it's good.
Here's how I feel about audiobooks. I have something messed up in my head where I feel like
Just in general?
Yes.
All right.
I also have something messed up in my head because I just have like this weird thing where I feel like if I'm not sacrificing something, or if I'm not getting hurt in some way, then I'm not accomplishing something the correct way. So like whenever I think about listening to an audiobook, I feel like once I finish it, I don't feel successful because I'm like, I cheated. And I know that's wrong.
Well, you won't absorb as much. It depends, I guess, technically on what type of learner you are.
No, I get way more of an audiobook than I do reading.
Now, I did hear a hack. You know who Alex Hormozy is? I've definitely talked about on this podcast before. He was talking, and he was saying how he reads when he like really needs to absorb something is he gets the audiobook and the physical version.
I've heard
and he
people
listens to
doing
the
that.
audiobook while he reads the physical version. I
heard
started doing
people
that
do
for
that.
my devotions.
Yeah,
So I'll like YouVersion, the Bible app. I'll put my headphones in and hit play, and so like as I'm reading, it is reading it to me. I haven't noticed a drastic difference. I think I'm a very it's weird. I don't know if I would consider myself a visual learner, but I guess I would have to be because like if I read a page, I'll retain the majority of the information. If I listen, it's 50-50. So like audiobooks I'm using is like I'm going on a run. I'm either going to listen to a podcast or audiobooks, and I take them kind of the same thing, where like I can tell you the general gist of what I'm learning from an audiobook or from a podcast, but I won't be able to get to the nitty gritty. If I read it, especially if I read it and take notes, I'll be able to like quote from the pages almost.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I never had to study in high school or college because I can kind of like see the page. So that's always been very helpful to me. But I feel like with reading, like if I'm sitting down and trying to read a book and really, I don't like to read fiction. So I'm always reading for information. And I feel like I almost can't organize it because I'm just like seeing it all like laid out, if that makes sense. And then if I listen to it, I'm not like looking at the physical pages and storing the physical pages.
I get that.
But I'm like formulating like a summary to myself. And I can quote things out of it if I listen to it. But I feel like I can put it together a lot better than if I'm just like sitting down and reading like lines on a page.
I've learned something recently like about myself that I think I've kind of talked about this before, but I've always hated reading. Like absolutely hated reading. But then this year I got into it, and there's a really cool story behind it, but I love reading now. It's like if you asked me what like the most peaceful thing I could do, or if I had like an afternoon and I need to like just like de-stress and everything, the best thing I would like to do is go somewhere and read, because it's the most calming thing I can do now. Like now my wife has been taking naps a lot, and I just sit in a chair and I read, and it's like it calms me down so much. And I learned that the reason is because I suck at reading. I'm really bad at reading. I'm not very smart. I'm not book smart at all. And so whenever I read, I have to give it everything I have to read what I'm reading. Like, I'm not just like I can't go into autopilot and just read and get the information. So whenever I read, my brain can't drift off and think about other things or like because sometimes I'll sit at work and like a ton of things start flooding my mind of all these things I have to do, and I'm like I can't focus on one thing because I am like so stressed about everything going on. Or like even if I'm watching a show, like try to numb the pain a little bit by watching a show and go in a different world for a little bit. No, I can like zone out and other things will start coming in. But whenever I read a book, I have to focus so hard on like actually reading the words and to get the information that way, that while I'm reading, I can't think about other things. And so this is not a way of trying to push off other things. I realize that's what made it sound like. It sounds like I'm just like trying to push off all my problems. But I mean, like if I need to like actually be like, all right, I need to like actually figure things out, so I need to de-stress for a little bit so I can have a clear mind to think about things. If I read for a little bit, I feel way better afterwards because my mind was able to focus on just one thing at a time for a little bit, and now I'm like, okay, now I can actually use my brain energy to focus on something important.
I think that makes sense, because I feel like maybe one of the reasons for like me learning a lot from audio is I kind of have the same thing. Like if I have like I'm listening to that, it's really, and it may be like hearing loss related, but like I'm really focused and making sure I take it in, versus if I'm reading, I'm hearing everything that's going on, and I tend to drift off if I'm reading and think about other stuff. But the minute I get like audio, like book in my ear or whatever podcast, I can focus, and I'm not zoned out. I can still do other stuff, but I can like really retain what is being said to me. So.
And I do like fiction reading, and the reason being there is because, well, one, I like the storylines and I like hearing about all that stuff. I think it's cool. Also, I love watching movies, but the problem with watching movies or watching TV shows, like it's fun and I love doing that with my wife and like watching TV shows with her and everything. But in reality, you're never getting anything from that. Just an entertaining show, you're never getting anything from. Like, unless, I mean, I get inspiration for editing from it, but like other than that, like you're not really getting anything from it. But whenever you read fiction, you can have an entertainment factor to it. But also, anytime you're reading, you're doing something that's really, really healthy for you. Because reading is really, really good for your brain. It's one of the top ways to prevent dementia and Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's, that is. It's a different thing. I'm just kidding. And it is by just reading is really, really good for you. It strengthens a ton of different things.
See, that's what, for some reason, fiction reading in my head just always feels like a waste of time.
Same.
Every time. Because like if I'm going to sit down and read, I want to gain something from it. Because like to me, the fiction reading, I used to read like Hardy Boys when I was in like elementary school, and I got into that a little bit. But like recently, I read one of the Agatha Christie books. Now I try to read at night every night because Liz would like turn on a like vlogger from YouTube. I was like, this is great. I get up in the morning. I always do like devotions and then like some type of informational reading every morning. And so this can be my good escape at night. It's like, I can do a fun read at night. And I just, every time I start reading, I'm like, this is a huge waste of my time. Like I like get into it, and I finished the first Agatha Christie book, and then I started to read Thursday Murder Club, because like I love murder mystery books, or like I thought I did. And I just, every time I'm reading it, I just like feel just like antsy, because I'm like, I'm just wasting time. Like all of these, I could be reading something that is like helping me, and instead I'm reading a freaking story.
I get that. See, my
I don't know, I can't get over it. I don't know why.
That makes complete sense. I think 100%. I think it just whatever works for your lifestyle, that makes a ton of sense. For me, I like the reason why it helped me a lot was because I found myself in a place where I so desperately was trying to take in as much information at every point. So like every time I was in the car, I stopped listening to music. Because I felt like music was a waste of time, because I have such a busy life that I'm just like, why am I wasting my time with music in the car whenever I could be getting more information or whatever? And so like I just got to a point where I would only listen to podcasts because I was trying to get even more information. And then whenever I'm on my lunch break, I'm only watching YouTube videos so I can get even more information. And like at every point, I was just trying to suck in as much information as possible. That I was just like, at some point, this isn't good for you. Like for me to just keep on doing this. And so that's why like the fiction book was, because it would help me slow down and like, let's not worry about trying to suck in as much information, but let's just like calm down for a little bit. But that everybody has their way of doing that in a bunch of different ways. That just helps me with it.
So if each of you could have like write a book, and it's more of like nonfiction, it's like a self-help or informational book, what would you write?
I would never write a fiction book.
What would you write it? And I'm asking you because I have an idea for a book that I want to write.
I think mine would probably be on some form of marketing, because I think the information that because like obviously if you're gonna write a book, it better be helpful.
Yeah.
So I think the information that I have in my head that could help people the most is like understanding that you don't need a huge audience to be able to make a living in social media and marketing, and like you can really niche down, because like we're in frisbee golf, it feels as like niche as you can get, and we're able to have a like business with 12 people under it in this like niche, and a big part of that comes from knowing how to monetize and like niching down how much I can help. So I think I could write a book. I don't think I could write a book, but I think if I was going to write a book, it would be on something with that topic.
All right, title, The Niche.
Niche down, baby.
Yeah. Niche down. Head, shoulders, niche, and toes.
Love it.
The niche quiche.
Ooh, I like that.
The niche quiche. Finding your slice in American history.
Wow, that's good.
Boom.
Love it. I don't know why American
I just wrote
history.
it. I just wrote it.
All right, Konner.
Mine would be something along the lines of mine would be about finding hope in like desperate situations, and probably realistically it would be about like living in a broken world but with a personal God. Would be something like that, because that's what I would want to write about the most, is about how not far away God is from you and how personal he is to doing little things in your life. So and just the ways that I've seen that, and how to go through situations where you feel like you're not able to see that. Yeah.
So you're more going like spiritual.
It would have to be, because I even just like thinking about if I tried because I've obviously written a lot of music in my life. I say obviously, but everybody might not understand. I went to school for music, and music was the only thing I did my entire life. And so I've written a lot of music, and every time I try to write about anything or try to write about anything silly, I'm just not capable of it. Like, it always ends up going to my spiritual like life, and I can't write about anything else. I've tried so hard to, because I've wanted to just write like a silly love song or like a silly song about this. But I wrote a song for my wife for our wedding day, and that's the only song I've ever written that wasn't about like my specific relationship with God. And even that song was somewhat about it.
It was a banger, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know that, but I'm sure it was great.
I got to be at his wedding, unlike other people in this room behind him.
Yikes. So mine would be, and then Hunter doesn't realize this, but he's going to be like, oh, that makes sense.
Big Hunt.
I think
I got to pee so bad. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay. We don't mind if you have to pee.
Yeah,
you can't go though.
Well, after you say this, I'll probably just excuse myself for like 2 minutes.
That's funny.
Just
Okay,
heads
well,
up, because I'm about to wet my pants.
We're at 50 minutes, so
yeah.
Well, I don't want to end it yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, very quickly. So I want to work on a book called The 3-Minute Phone Call.
Okay.
That makes sense.
How many times, Hunter? How many times have I called you and said, "Hey, you got 3 minutes"?
Yeah, pretty much every time.
Wow.
He's not a texter, which I'm not really. Well, you are a texter, but if it's like, it's a lot of times easier to just get on a phone call, get all the details out, versus like text back and forth. I think it depends on the relationship.
Yeah.
With a person.
Well, it's about the book would be about how you can do the same amount of time. Spend the same amount of time texting or calling is 3 minutes, but the relationship and the amount of efficiency the 3-minute call has versus a 3-minute text.
Yeah,
string.
I agree with you. Yeah,
So
I like that.
That's what I'm aspiring to like put together.
Oh, where are you going, hon?
Oh, Banter, Konner,
and Brad.
Brad only.
KB.
That's funny because it's like Tenacious D, aren't they? KB, Kyle.
Is that what they are?
Oh no, Kyle Bass is right. Man, I'm so out of the loop. I don't even know.
I don't think if you don't know
Kyle Gass, KG. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
was
it
about
is.
to say, if you can't remember something about Tenacious D, I don't think that makes you out of the loop. I think that just makes you a part of normal people.
Yeah, normal, society. Jack Black is relevant again because of Bowser off the Super Mario movie.
That's true. And I
killed it.
love
It
Jack
was-
Black
it was
so
amazing.
much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the most, like, inappropriate songwriting of all time, but it's just so funny. I just can't get enough of it. It's still this day if I think about it. Me and my friend, actually, I talked about this the last time we were on the Banter, but my high school used to have a variety show where we did, like, you could perform music. And our senior year, one of my really good friends, my best friends, he was a huge Tenacious D fan, and he just wanted to perform Tribute, like that song Tribute. And like I play guitar as well, and he was like, "Can we please? It's my senior year. I just want to do this so bad." So we dressed up like them. I dressed up like Kyle Gass, and like we played Tribute, and it was fun. It was a good time.
That's really.
It wasn't
funny.
like outstanding, but it was a good time.
You have no idea how much better I feel.
Hey, you just Joe Rogan'd us right now.
I don't even know what that means, but holy cow.
Do you listen
I
to Joe
feel like-
Rogan?
Not frequently,
But
occasionally.
It's pretty frequent because his podcasts are like 3 or 4 hours long.
Yeah, he's like a tour life.
Yeah, right. I mean, some would say a shorter tour life, but yeah, usually like halfway through, they're like, "Oh, I gotta pee. Okay, well, let's take a pee break," and then like they cut it, but there's always
funny.
one. So that's what I felt like in this equation. I'm not Joe Rogan. You're Joe Rogan. So
JRE, baby.
and so yeah. And,
Aliens.
hey, tell me about the pyramids. Right? They were designed to
Connor doesn't
transmit
find-
electricity.
Connor doesn't find pyramid jokes funny, man.
I'm not joking.
Thank you.
That was an actual.
I agree. Just to be clear with you, I know that the pyramids were used to transmit electricity because I'm a cultured person. Some people like to say that I believe in a conspiracy theory, but I like to say that there's much more evidence towards that being the case than anything else. A stupid tomb. If it was a tomb, why haven't they found any human remains in there? You guys are sheep. You are all sheep.
You put a tinfoil hat on him and you tell me.
Yeah. Yikes. That's not good.
My
That's
hat
not
would,
good.
my head would get hot.
So, well, I'm glad. Listen, we tried to meet an architect today, and he didn't show up.
He's going to show up, man. 11:30.
I'll believe it when there's an
30
architect
minutes.
there.
No, I think at some point in my life, I will write a book. That just sounds like a good time. Like, you dedicate a whole year of your life to like this one piece of work and it's a book. The scary part is like you put that out there and then people are like, "Oh, this guy's an idiot."
Do you guys have a list of like bucket list items you want to do?
I don't have a like exact list, but I have general ideas. One of them was I always wanted to hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Boom, got the plaque on my desk.
Easy. Happened in like a year and a half.
It happened in 5, but I didn't care how I got there. I thought it was gonna be for a Magic YouTube channel, so
There we go.
Yeah.
instead it's frisbee golf.
I used to have a physical list I carried in my wall. I think I still have it. I think it's in my safe at home.
Well, that was one thing with the time because I always was a goal setter, and I would like set a goal, and then I would try to like figure out to achieve that goal. And what I like discovered somewhat, and I didn't know that I was feeling this until I started listening to Atomic Habits, and then it started to make sense. Was like the goal of 100,000 subscribers. Okay, you hit it,
I already know
and
what
it's
you're
like,
gonna say.
okay, well now I need to set a new goal, or like you get there and it's like, sick, I did it, but it's not over. Like we gotta keep growing. And so basically, I forget what the exact quote, but it was in like literally the first chapter of Atomic Habits, and he was talking about how it's important to, instead of focusing on setting goals, instead to build systems.
Yeah.
And then the systems will surpass your goal. To where like instead of being like, oh, I want to hit 100,000 subscribers, oh, I want to do this, it's like, okay, you want to write a book, well, just commit to writing for 10 minutes every day. And then what'll end up happening is like, that might eventually lead to a book, but it can lead to a bunch of other stuff, because if you write a book and then you finish it, sick, you have that, but like now are you just done? Like you've met your goal, what's next? And there's always like that feeling of like, we hit it, now what? Versus if you focus on just like implementing a system and you do the system, you'll still reach those goals, maybe even quicker than you thought. But then since you're focused on the system, there's not a what's next. It's like, okay, we're going to keep churning out 3 videos a week. Okay, now how can we build that out to be more and more? And then you like, the goal becomes a byproduct of that versus the entire focus.
Yeah, and it's funny because you've probably heard me say, if you think about it, I always say I never focus on the result. I focus on like the actions, because if you do the right actions, the result will be a byproduct. That's from that's again what I'm saying. I've been taught a bunch of stuff from Atomic Habits. It's one of those things that have kind of like been infused in me.
It's a great book.
And I also see, for me, setting goals are dangerous because I'll usually set like pretty like hard to reach goals, and then when I get there, I'm never satisfied for like.
Well, it's also setting you up to fail to a certain extent too, because like if my goal for 2024 is to run every day for the entire year, then as soon as I miss a run, I've failed my goal. But I haven't failed. Like I'm still like, let's say I ran for 60 days straight. Well, like if instead of focusing on like a general health and well-being goal or like something like that, it's like, no, I need to run every day. Then it's way easier to like miss the mark and feel like a failure and then not see what you have accomplished.
That's my problem, is that's that's where I'm talking about, where I have this weird thing where I'm like, I have to hurt from what I'm trying to do. Like whenever I was getting really like into my morning routine, I was like, I have to wake up at 4:30 every day and read for an hour, and I have to like do all this. Or whenever I work out, I always like whenever I was doing the CrossFit workouts, I would always do the option that he had on the board for like the most experienced person. And in no world am I the most experienced person in any gym. And so like I would always just hurt myself because I'm like, that's the only thing I'm going to do. But then it would make it to where I would skip things, and I would like the one day I don't wake up early, then I just feel like a failure. And then I just don't have enough energy to get up the next day because I already feel like a failure. I'm like, what's the point in doing it? I already messed up. And so
you should read Atomic Habits, man. Because the other thing he was talking about too is like how to build sustainable habits. Because like I was always a big morning routine person, and now I have a like morning routine that I just have eventually evolved into that is like pretty, normal for me. But when I was like trying to build it, and I was, we didn't have Luke, and my life was not super regimented by a kid telling me when and where I'm going to do what I want to do. Then I would like try to dive head first into all of this, and like you try to take on like 10 habits at once, and of course they're not going to work. Because he was talking about like if you want to, spend less time on, or you don't want to look at your phone the first thing when you wake up, then like instead of that being the goal, then like you can make the goal be like, okay, I'm gonna have 5 minutes on my phone when I wake up. Because then it's like, okay, you get to satisfy it a little bit, but it's only 5 minutes. And then once you do that for a little bit, then it's like, okay, I'm only have 2 minutes on my phone. And you like slowly wean it off. And like they always feel more, like he also talked about like setting like 2-minute habits of basically if your habit can't be broken down to something that you can do in 2 minutes or like one singular action, then it's too complicated. So like instead of your habit being, I want to go to the gym and work out, your first habit is, I want to put on my workout clothes. Okay, now that my workout clothes are on, well, I might as well. And it's like, okay, now I've done that for a week. Now my next one I want to focus on is I want to put on my workout clothes and walk out the door.
Yeah.
Literally like, okay, you don't have to go to the gym, but now every day I get home from work, put on my workout clothes, walk out the door. Now I want to drive to the gym and work out for 5 minutes. And he was telling the story of like someone who lost a bunch of weight because every day they would just go to the gym, work out for 5 minutes, and they didn't let themselves work out for more than 5 minutes for the first like 20 days because it was important to not fully satisfy. And like, because if you work out and you leave while you still want to keep working out, then you'll be more motivated to come back the next day.
Yeah.
Versus if you work out fully to where you're crushed, then it's easy to be like, well, I did so hard yesterday. So then it was like 5 minutes, and then eventually went 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, and then eventually he was working out for 30 minutes a day, and it felt like nothing because it started with just like walking in, doing like 5 minutes on the treadmill and walking out. And every day he like felt like it was pointless. Like, man, I really want to do more. But he like forced himself to walk out, and that like built a really sustainable habit to where eventually he's working out 30 to 40 minutes a day, and he still feels like it's only 5 minutes.
Yeah. And it became normal. It's normalized. Yeah, I think it's hard when I think we live in a society where we see a lot of big goals accomplished regularly, but we don't see the work that was put into them.
Yeah.
Which is why I admire your running channel.
Because usually
and like,
it's shoved into a vertical 30-second video.
Yeah, right. Because like you tell people like, hey, I'm doing the work. You have off days. You have days you don't accomplish your thing. That's like the realness behind it. And I think there's not you can find realness if you want to find it, but most people are digesting in 30-second clips of like this really cool stuff. And you think like, oh, like, cause like for me this year, I had like a weight loss goal this year. I was going to lose 45 pounds this year. Like that was my goal. And I'm like, all right, I've got to do this thing every day. And then like halfway through the year, I'm like, well, it's impossible. I can't do it by the end of the year. But I've lost 27 pounds. So like, why is that not like an accomplishment? You know what I mean? And I also can like, not only to kind of to your point, like that big goal is also tied to a lot of little goals that I've accomplished, but I don't see them because I'm focused on this one like huge goal. But yes, I didn't lose 40 pounds, but I lost 27, and now I can go to jiu-jitsu 3-4 days a week, and I can, do full contact rolling for hours at a time and feel okay the next day. Like that's the
other thing stuff. That is another Alex Hormozy thing he was talking about. Love that guy. He was saying, we always want these, like, we look at Mark Zuckerberg's morning routine, or like maybe not his, but like this really successful person, and they're like, I get up at 4 and then I do this, then I spend 4 hours in deep work, and he's like, but what we fail to realize is like they are now billionaires, and that is their current morning routine.
Yep.
That's not the morning routine that got them there.
No. Yeah,
so as a thousandaire, we're trying to implement that, and then wondering why, like, for them to build that, if you look at their morning routine, they probably forgot what it looked like when they were first starting, and they were working 12 hours a day every day to build whatever and he's like, now they've earned the right for their morning routine to be 7 hours long, and they work 4 hours a day. And it's like, if they would have only worked 4 hours a day, you wouldn't know who they were to have their morning routine. So he's like, you got to forget the morning routine, because now you're looking at people who've already made it, and now they have the right to work out 4 times a day, or now they've earned the ability to middle of the day spend 4 hours with their family and then go back to like 2 meetings and call that a work day. It's like, well, no, that's not what their work day looked like when. So if you copy what they're doing now, you won't get where they are. They're doing what they do now because they worked for so long.
And they have people hyper active on their schedule to schedule for them, and they have people to cook for them, and they have personal training.
That's where social media is like, because like if I look at Nick Bear just ran a freaking 2 hour, 39 minute in like 20-second marathon. And to do that, which is like a 6-minute pace average, to do that, he was running like 80 miles a week. But that's a part of his business. Like he has a whole fitness channel that is like a separate business. And so when he would go out and he was averaging like 10 miles, his shortest run during the week was 11 miles. And because he had 2 rest days and was still running like 75 miles a week. But when he's doing that, he's working. And like, so it's not, and he has built BPN is a like massive company to where he doesn't go in and work 8 hours a day every day. But when he like first started and he ran like a 4 hour-ish marathon, stuff like that, he was working his face off, and like his mileage couldn't be that high because he had other responsibilities. And so that's like a big realization for me, is like, for the last 6 weeks, I've ran at least 30 miles a week. This week, it'll probably be closer to 40. And like, that's a huge time commitment for me. To imagine doubling that, because like some of the guys that his coach trains run like 120 miles a week, but that's their full-time job, is running. So they'll wake up, run like 12 miles, go throughout their day, get a workout in, and then run like 5 miles at night. And like that's their life, because they're trying to be an Olympic marathon athlete. And so they're running like 120 miles a week. And I'm like, I'm only running 30. Well, the difference is I'm trying to just finish a marathon. They're trying to run a marathon in like 2 hours. But it's like, I can't look at someone who's trying to run a marathon in 2 hours and then try to build my life around what they're doing, because they're running a marathon literally twice as fast as I can. Whereas like when they first started, their training probably looked a little bit more like mine. That was just like 7 years ago. And you didn't know who any of them were.
You're still running 30 miles a week.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is when I started running, I remember my watch, when I first got my watch, the goal each week was to run 10 miles. Like if I filled the bar, it was 10-mile run, like 10 miles per week. My watch now, the goal every week is 40 miles. And like to fill my bar, it's 40. And I don't feel like I'm running that much right now. But then if I go back, if you asked me to run this much this time last year, that'd have been ludicrous. Like it would have been insane, because a long run for me was 6 miles. Now my shortest runs during the week are 6 miles, except for like every once in a while I'll have a 3 or 4 mile rest run thrown in. But like those were long runs. But it's like I've now been running for 3 years. And so that's what's like, if someone like looks at what I'm posting on my Instagram stories, and it's like, oh, I need to go out and run 6 miles a day. You can't just roll out of bed and run 6 miles a day. I've been running more days than I haven't for the last like 2.5 years, or however long it's been. And so I don't know if that's encouraging or discouraging, but
it's encouraging.
I'm always encouraged by it, because I'm like, I hope to one day be able to have my morning routine look like that. I hope to work hard enough that one day I can get up at 5 a.m. and, you know, I can only have 4 hours of work on my schedule, so I can spend, you know, 3 hours of dedicated time with my family before I go to work, and then have all this time after, and like have this like stress-free life where you just have a few meetings or a few videos to shoot in a day, and that's it. Like, I'd love to get to that point, but you have to realize, I think, you're not there yet. There's a lot of work between where I am and where I want to be with that.
Yeah, and you have to just be okay with being there. You have to accept that's what your life is, and you're still accomplishing things. And that's the biggest thing, just being okay with like, yes, I did accomplish that for the most part.
Also, if you stay so focused on what your life is going to be like or what you want your life to be like, then you're probably not going to get there, because it means you're not being a good steward of what you have right now.
Well, and you're just going to miss out on a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, spin time.
Spin the wheel.
Let's see who's going to be on this.
Do we not do noises anymore? I've not.
I think we
been
do
on a
it
while.
post
Every once in a while.
Post wheel, right?
If it feels right.
Jason.
Jason.
Mr. Warehouse.
All right, Jason and Konner, obviously, and
Big Hunt.
that's gonna be me.
Come on.
Me, Jason, Konner. The Trevor drought is back.
Wow.
I feel like we need to get a new wheel.
I mean, it's digital, and I would assume Trevor does this too, but I'm very like, I rotate whose name I type in first, in case the wheel's like semi-rigged. I rotate the order I put names because I don't want it to be like the same, and it doesn't matter. If I spin the wheel, it's very
I feel
unlikely
like
for it to land on
the
Trevor.
digital has to be more reliable than an in-person wheel, because every wheel we've ever bought has flaws. Like it. Yeah.
Maybe just wheels in general are flawed.
Let's
Let's
do
reinvent the wheel.
let's do our noise for this week to be spinning the wheel.
Okay. Oh, it's ice cream!
That was great. Wow.
That was really good. I don't know if I can top that.
Wow.
I don't know how to slow it down.
That's
Yeah, I sucked. I
the
couldn't do it.
transition.
The transition
I
to slow it
learned.
down is very
Yeah,
hard
it's
to go
very
from,
difficult. Mm-hmm.
because I can't get my tongue to do that at a slower pace. You have to change the noise you're making. It's okay. Brad's really good at it. He knows how to do it.
Yeah, Brad's got. He's
Nope.
perfected it.
All right, I want a full Foley.
Oh.
All right, we're gonna spin the wheel. All right, guys, let's spin the wheel. Oh, Jason!
Nice.
Frick!
Nice. Brad did a good job with the transition.
Yeah,
but
well, he
because
started the noise
He wasn't
right.
rolling his tongue.
Yeah, the tongue roll was what screwed us.
You know, I can do it. I really didn't want to spit everywhere. feel
I
I
like
was gonna
spitting
spit.
everywhere. I don't mind spitting everywhere. So.
Yeah, I started with the tongue roll, and you can't slow that down.
Yeah.
No, you just gotta keep it going. Keep it going.
It's
If you
turns-
can roll, if you can slow down your tongue roll, comment down below.
Yeah, with the video, a link to the video of you slowing down your tongue roll.
All right, no. In the comments, I want to see everyone's best wheel impersonation, but type only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
there
option.
we go.